Most fighters train for years in the wrong stance, and nobody tells them until it's too late. Your stance controls everything: your jab, your defense, your power. All of it starts with where you plant your feet. But here's what most gyms get wrong. Stance isn't just about which hand you write with. Some of the most feared southpaws in history were right-handed. Some naturally left-handed fighters thrived in orthodox. Pick the wrong stance, and you don't just slow your progress, you build years of bad habits on a broken foundation. So how do you actually find your natural stance? Not your dominant hand stance, your real one. That's what this video answers, and I'm saving the most counterintuitive part for last. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to identify your natural stance, understand the real tactical difference between orthodox and southpaw, and make a decision you can commit to. Whether you're brand new or something has felt off after months of training, this is for you. Why getting this wrong is costly. Here's how most gyms handle stance selection. You walk in. Coach asks, right-handed or left-handed? You answer. He puts you in a stance. Done. No test, no assessment, no consideration of your balance or reflexes. That 5-second decision shapes every rep you take for the next year. If your stance is wrong, your muscle memory builds in the wrong direction. Your lead foot, your head movement, your weight transfer, all slightly off. The longer you train wrong, the harder it is to fix. So before you throw a single punch, you need to verify you're standing in the right place. Number 2, 3 tests to find your natural stance. Forget the dominant hand question. Here are 3 tests that actually work. Test 1, the push test. Stand with feet together. Have someone push you from behind without warning. Which foot stepped forward? That's your lead foot, the one your body trusts under pressure. Left foot forward means orthodox. Right foot forward means southpaw. Test 2, the kip test. Put a ball on the ground. Kick it without thinking. The foot you kicked with is your power foot. In boxing, your power foot goes in the rear. Kicked with your right, orthodox. Kicked with your left, southpaw. Test 3, the bat swing. Pretend you're swinging a baseball bat. Don't think, just swing. Which side went forward naturally? That mirrors the rotation behind your rear power hand. Same mechanics. Run all 3. If 2 or 3 point the same direction, that's your stance. If they split, you're likely athletically ambidextrous. Try both stances for 2 weeks each. Spar in both. Your body will tell you which one disappears, meaning you stop thinking about it and just move. That's the one. If you want a printable version of these 3 tests with a tracking sheet, it's in the description. Free. 30 seconds to grab. Number 3, orthodox versus southpaw. What actually separates them? Most breakdowns stop at orthodox is more common, southpaw is awkward. That's the surface. Here's what's underneath. Orthodox. Your left hand is up front as your jab. Your right hand sits in the rear as your power cross. This structure rewards volume, patience, and technical combination work. Most of your sparring partners will also be orthodox, so your reflexes sharpen against a mirror image constantly. The problem, when a southpaw steps in front of you, everything flips, the angles change, the straight left comes down a line your guard wasn't built to cover. Many orthodox fighters never fully solve that puzzle, even at high levels. Southpaw. Your right hand is forward, your dominant left sits in the rear. The built-in advantage is geometry. When an orthodox fighter and a southpaw square up, the southpaw's lead foot naturally lands on the outside, and the outside angle is where clean shots land without walking into counters. That straight left hand travels directly down the center line into the orthodox fighter's open side. It's not just skill, it's structure. The trade-off: most coaching content, sparring partners, and instructional resources are built around orthodox. As a southpaw, you'll often reverse engineer advice that wasn't written for you. One rule regardless of stance: don't attempt to switch stances in competition until you have 12 to 18 months of solid fundamentals in your primary one.
Switching too early gives you 2 mediocre stances instead of 1 strong base.
4. The part nobody tells you. Here's the counterintuitive finding. Your stance is not permanent. Most fighters treat it like a fixed decision, made once, locked in forever. The best fighters don't operate that way. As you develop, your guard height shifts, your foot angle finds its own position, your weight distribution settles into something slightly different from the textbook diagram. That drift is your body optimizing. Let it happen. The fighters who struggle most are the ones rigidly holding the exact stance their coach showed them on day 1, even as their body signals something different. Record yourself sparring every few months. Watch your feet after exchanges. That footage often shows more about your real stance than any test will. Your body is already adjusting. The footage just makes it visible. If you're getting value from this, subscribe. Next week, I'm going into footwork mechanics, the specific patterns that control every exchange before a punch lands. Stance is the foundation. Footwork is the frame. Number 5. Making the call. Here's how to decide. Run the 3 tests. If they agree, commit to that stance for at least 6 months before you reassess anything. If your tests split, start Orthodox. More coaching resources, more sparring partners, faster early development. If you're already training and something consistently feels off, your balance is awkward, your rear hand never generates real power, exchanges feel reactive instead of natural, get a proper reassessment. Many fighters are in the wrong stance simply because nobody ran an evaluation at the start. The goal is a stance that disappears when you spar. You stop thinking about it. You just move. That's your stance.